What? Oh, okay. Hate how some websites don't scale properly when you have half a window open.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, oh, there we go. My face hurts.
Yeah. We have new blades, so.
Chase, so I've been banned from streaming on my main channel because I have a community guidelines strike, all thanks to that dumb bitch mother who wanted to try to insult me publicly, but when I insulted her publicly,
No.
she couldn't handle it.
No.
It's a really fucked up, retarded system. Callum Courtney, what's going on? Yeah, so basically, if you have a YouTube channel that you don't actually use, it's just an account basically that you use to comment, you can say whatever nasty fucking disgusting shit you want to people, but when somebody makes a video criticizing the shit that you said in the comment section, the person making the video can get a fucking community guideline strike and can be banned from streaming. So it's really fucking retarded. I hope that fucking stupid bitch and her entire family gets fucking murdered. I hope they all die in a fucking fire.
Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not. I hope they all die.
God, you're such a child.
I'm not.
Yeah.
No, she really pissed me off. I hope her entire fucking family gets slaughtered. How long is the ban? Until February. I think it ends February 7th or something.
And just see how long it takes before this goes out.
Which is total horseshit. Like, it just none of it makes any goddamn sense. I've gotten 3 community guideline strikes before, and I've rid them all out. It's really annoying. At least this one isn't 6 months long like the other 2 I had. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I see, I know.
I do have a contact in YouTube that might be able to do something, but I doubt it. No, that bitch is vegan, actually. So, her cancer risk is relatively low, I suppose. Cyrus Miller, what's going on? Horny Vegan asks, why am I late? Well, I made a post yesterday that I was going to do this on Sunday because I didn't have time on Saturday. And I have to stream this on my gaming channel. Oh, goddamn. What do you think about Dr. Garth Davis going on the Doctor's Show? He's pretty fucking badass. I love how the guy isn't afraid to just totally speak his mind, call them stupid and shit. Apparently he's subscribed to me as well, so I think he's a really cool dude. Be back, what's going on? Must be a bit counterintuitive to be vegan and be married to a Muslim, though. Well, I think it's just stupid. Like, apparently that Muslim guy is vegan as well, from what I can tell anyway, but, they're just both so fucking stupid. It's insane. Like, it's just... You have to be so fucking stupid to be an educated Western woman and marry someone who actually identifies as a Muslim. Like, it's stupid. It's fine to marry someone who's, like, of Middle Eastern descent, but if they actually identify as Muslim, like, are you fucking retarded? Like, I have the same policy with every religion. I just refuse to date anyone who's religious at all.
No.
Well, no, I made that policy years ago. Richard, did you finish those 60 donuts you bought? Well, that was a while ago. I don't think we ate them all, but yeah, over the course of a week, we ate most of them. I think there was only 3 or 4 that we couldn't finish. Did you see Milk Jar's video where he slaughtered his first animal? No, I didn't. We should actually look that up. Let's see. It's one word, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm a moron. My first slaughter, there we go.
Slaughtered my first large animal today. Yeah, so I went to the farm. I was with 2 other people. I was splitting the sheep with one of them. And
He doesn't seem too enthused.
We went down to the barn where all the sheep were hanging out. You know, they're grass-fed, of course. They're outside all day, but a lot of them were in the barn. And, you know, I was picking out the one I wanted. We were weighing him. We weighed a couple. I picked one. He weighed 90 pounds. It was the biggest one I was allowed to take. And, basically, what ended up happening was,
does this guy live in a trailer park?
Leading up to it, I'm like, you know, am I gonna be sad or feel bad about this or something? But, you know, the whole experience was really different from what I expected. First of all, you know, after I picked the one I wanted, the farmer, he took the sheep, brought it to the ground, and he was like, stand over there. And the funny thing was, you know, I had the knife out, and it was really interesting because the sheep was so calm the whole time. Even
yeah, it doesn't know what the fuck's happening.
When I put my knife to its throat and like had it right there, the sheep wasn't screaming or anything. It was just,
no shit, it didn't know what was happening. You can do the same thing with a fucking small child. Walk up to any 8-year-old, grab a knife. They're not gonna fucking scream.
It was like it was relaxing or something. It was like it didn't care.
Okay, so this guy's just mentally retarded. I also think he's kind of trying to act tough, I guess. I think he lives in a fucking trailer park, though. What's this? Yeah, that's what it looks like. He's really weird. All of his videos are really strange. This is the guy he met with multiple sclerosis or something, who healed his multiple sclerosis with a raw meat diet. I want to see this one. I'm a moron who believes anything he sees on the internet. This is the dude who literally said, like, he doesn't really need good evidence to believe in something. Like, if he just sees it and he thinks it's true, then, you know, might be true.
Start off talking about what an idiot Vegan Gains is, and I'll show you undeniable proof that he's a gigantic moron.
On YouTube, do it right now. Pork parasites, or no, sorry, pork Coke test or something. So what people do is they get a piece of like pig, and then they pour Coke on it. The Coke makes the parasites wiggle out of the pork flesh, so it's really disgusting. Yeah, you can look it up.
You
on
can see
YouTube.
quite a few videos of that.
Like, all pork has parasites in it. It's so dangerous.
Actually believes that stupid viral video where they pour Coca-Cola on a pork chop and the worms come out of it is real. Like, you gotta be like 5 years old to think that video is real. Like, everyone knows that video is fake. And, I mean, how does that make any sense? You pour Coca-Cola on it and then worms just start crawling out? Makes absolutely no sense.
What do you mean fake? There were worms in a piece of pork.
And this guy, the moron...
Like, pigs, I don't know why, but they have some sort of weird susceptibility to parasites. Even since, like, biblical times, people were warned against eating pork. It's a dirty animal. It's probably because the pork, even back then, contained a lot of fucking parasites. Whatever, Milk Jar is an idiot. So, to start off today's stream, I just wanted to make a few corrections on my Rich Piana autopsy video. So, first of all, he did have cardiomegaly. His heart was 670 grams. That's about twice the size of a normal human's heart. I didn't really emphasize the importance of this. So, when you have a heart enlarged that much, arrhythmias are extremely likely, and especially when you throw in recreational drugs into the mix. I know people were thinking he was snorting like Oxycontin, cocaine, or Adderall. There was no toxicology report, so we can't know for certain. But because his heart was so massively enlarged, chances are he was taking some sort of recreational drug at the time, and he was already developing arrhythmias, and then because of his enlarged heart and because of the recreational drugs he was taking, probably just went into cardiac arrest. All the symptoms of the incident also sounded like cardiac arrest, so I do want to change my opinion. I do think cardiac arrest was the cause of his death now, not some sort of brain injury. Now, his lung infection was also probably because he was hooked up to a breathing apparatus. Apparently, it's quite common, even after a few days, to develop lung infections from having a tube down your throat. So the lung infection was probably due to breathing apparatus, not just because he had it for a while and because his immune system was reduced because of the steroids. And last thing, he did have necrotic tissue in his brain and in his lungs. Now, a few people in the comments said the autopsy was performed 3 weeks after his death, and the necrotic tissue was probably just because he was a decomposing corpse. I don't know if that's an accurate... Like, I don't know if that's really the reason he had necrotic tissue in his brain and lungs, because there wasn't any necrotic tissue noted elsewhere. Like, I mean, they didn't find any necrotic tissue in his heart or liver or spleen or kidneys. So what probably happened was, you know, he had a really severe lung infection. A lot of his lungs died off, and he had necrotic tissue. He did have really bad ischemia in his brain. So either it was the ischemia that was going on for a long time, or it was just a head injury that caused like a part of his brain to become severely damaged, which would have also explained the edema. Apparently, when he did fall down in the bathroom, he hit his head, and he was a pretty large dude, so he probably hit his head really hard. That would probably explain the edema and necrotic tissue. So those are just the corrections I wanted to make. I'll probably just make a video later on just making these corrections. I already left, if it ever loads, I already left a comment with these mentioning these corrections in my video. So I do think now that his death was probably cardiac arrest caused by an enlarged heart and use of recreational drugs. There was no toxicology report, so it can't know for 100% certain, but now it seems that the cardiomegaly, like having a heart twice the size of a normal person, that's probably what caused his death. But it's pretty clear he had severe vascular damage all throughout his body. He had ischemia in his brain, atherosclerosis around his heart, and his kidneys were even blocked, and there were also a few other organs that had congestion, so... And the blood vessels in your brain, too, are smaller and narrower, and with the heavy metals and the weird PMMA shit he was injecting, that could have just made it even worse, so... there was that weird gray material found in his kidneys. I wouldn't be surprised if that would also make its way into his brain. So I just wanted to make those corrections, and then I wanted to move on to this video that Thomas DeLauer did. Now, this guy, he did actually message me on Twitter. I was mistaken. There's two different... Like, I'm new to Twitter, and there's two different things. There's inbox and then there's requests, and I wasn't aware of this, but Thomas sent me a request a while ago, and then now he's just in my normal inbox. But, yeah, he sent me this August 27th, and then I said, hey, sorry for the late reply, I didn't realize he messaged me. So, he said, like, you know, he just had a new child and stuff, and he's busy right now, but eventually we might have a live debate discussion, and he said he might actually try a vegan diet, because he has a few employees that are vegan. So, his channel is just an absolute goldmine for low-carb, ketogenic bullshit. Like, if I only made videos about this guy, I'd have at least months and months worth of fucking content. Like, he just covers every stupid fucking low-carb bullshit, misinformation, crap you can think of. So, I picked out this video because lately he's made a few videos about like just misinformation about weight loss in general. He claimed that fruit prevents weight loss, carbohydrates prevent weight loss. This is another video where he mentions weight loss specifically. So I just wanted to go through this entire video. Is chewing gum bad for you? Like, a lot of gum has artificial sweeteners, and I just recommend avoiding that crap. I'm not sure if all gum is even vegan. I'm sure some of it at least has gelatin in it, so I wouldn't really recommend chewing gum. I know I used to have a chewing gum habit where I'd just chew gum all the time, and yeah, once I've been kind of turned off from artificial sweeteners, and then I just stopped chewing it. Speaking of Muslims, did you watch Ali Dawa's response to you on the Islam video? Yeah, I did, and the guy's fucking insane. He challenged me to an in-person live debate. Why the fuck would the guy want to meet me in person in the UK? And he said he'd pay for all my expenses and everything. It's like, okay, so you know exactly when I'm going to arrive, what airport, what terminal, where I'll be staying. you're going to be sorting out all these arrangements, and you're a fucking Muslim living in the UK, and I'm sure you know plenty of Muslim radicals. I think the guy wants to kill me. So there's no way in hell I'm gonna debate him in person. But, jeez, it's not freaking difficult to disprove these assholes. They do the same thing every fucking time. They try to attack your character, taking shit you said out of context. Then they just cherry-pick their own holy book and say, oh, that's not true because this part says this. It's all stupid. Same crap Christians do. I have this feeling that these guys like Milk Jar kill defenseless animals so that they can feel powerful. I think that as well. I mean, I don't know too much about the guy, but it sounds like he's living with his parents in a shitty fucking trailer park or something. He doesn't have a job, or he has a really shitty job. He's uneducated, and, like, clearly the guy isn't too smart, so he doesn't really have too many options open to him. So I think what he kind of does to cope with that is, like, maybe kill animals. It makes him feel like he has power and control over something in his life, where, like, whereas, you know, with everything else he has no control, so I think that's very likely. What's your argument to people that say they don't care about animals and they taste nice? Well, that's just a special pleading. Like, it's just a stupid way of saying I don't care. Like, if they were to bring up an issue that they cared about, like, say, child molestation, and you said, I don't care, like, they wouldn't accept that as an argument in that situation, but for some reason, when you bring up the ethical issues of eating meat, they just say, I don't care. Well, that's just a special pleading. You can't just say, you don't care. Clearly you have an opinion on this, and you have to actually justify your position. Whether that justification is good or not, like, just saying, I don't care isn't an actual response, so they're just being fucking stupid. What's your view on traces of animal products in food that vegans might buy? I mean, if there's only trace amounts, then it's fine. As long as it's not added to the food deliberately, then it's fine. I mean, literally everything is going to have some trace amounts of animal products. Like, I don't see the ethical issue. Maybe for allergy reasons you'd want to avoid that sort of stuff, but I don't see an ethical issue with that. Have you tried Louisville vegan jerky? I might have. I remember some people gave me vegan jerky before. Let me see. Okay, no, I've actually never tried this stuff. Maybe I'll order some and try it. I've never tried that stuff in particular. Veg Animation, what's up? Love Blood Tier, what's going on? Sebastian. Alright, so looks like pretty much everyone's here, so we'll get into this retardation.
Alright, we've all seen the hate. We've all seen people bagging on the low-carb diet simply because, well, honestly, they're misinformed.
No. You're the one who's misinformed, and people criticize the low-carb diet because it's a fad diet. There's no science showing that it has any metabolic benefit. The only science that exists just shows that it has benefits with diet adherence. That is the only benefit of a low-carbohydrate diet. Diet adherence. And he's actually about to demonstrate that with the studies he's going to reference. If you're going to rely on metabolic ward experiments where everyone's placed in a metabolic ward, everyone's forced to eat a specific diet, do a certain amount of exercise. Everything is meticulously tracked. Low-carb diets perform worse than high-carbohydrate, low-fat diets. Every single fucking time. Where low-carb diets shine is in free living experiments where they'll give diet advice to people where, okay, eat a low-carb diet, you have to restrict these foods, and then you compare them to a different diet group where they say, okay, you have to restrict low-fat foods. The low-carb diets usually tend to beat out the low-fat kind of diet groups, even though usually they aren't even low-fat, just because people typically have an easier time eating bacon and eggs and cutting out the English muffin for breakfast, you know, compared to people who, I guess, just have to cut out the foods they enjoy and then eat more bland crap that they don't want. Like, it's just a diet adherence issue. So, you're misinformed.
So the whole idea of this video is just to lay down the law with science. I'm putting aside personal biases. I'm putting aside anything. I'm putting aside the fact that I've lost 100 pounds leveraging mostly fat.
What does this have to do with anything? You can lose weight on any freaking diet. Like, your own personal anecdote doesn't prove that a low-carbohydrate diet is better than a low-fat diet for weight loss. Again, he will not rely on metabolic ward experiments in this video. He's only going to use free living experiments.
Fasting and a low-carb lifestyle. And I'm here to talk about just the scholarly articles and the university studies and the peer-reviewed research that breaks down the effectiveness
Yeah, but you're going to leave out the metabolic ward experiments.
of a low-carb diet versus a low-fat diet. So bear with me. If you don't like science, probably isn't the video for you. So let's get straight on to it. I'm going to break this down into 3-month studies, 6-month studies, 12-month studies, and 2-year plus studies. Then I'm going to actually be honest with you, and I'm going to...
Okay, see? He flat out admitted, before this even began, that he's not going to use any metabolic ward experiments that, you know, typically last either a few days or a few weeks. I think two of the ones... I think these... at least one of these... Okay, so this one was 2 weeks in duration. This one, I believe, was 2 months long. Yeah. Oh, two 2-week periods. Okay. So this one was about a month long. I believe this one was 2 months long. We'll look at those later, though, but, yeah, no metabolic ward experiments, so this video is complete and utter horseshit. Like, if you were going to claim that low-carb diets have a metabolic benefit, then why wouldn't you use metabolic ward experiments? If you were going to claim that low-carb diets have diet adherence benefits, then it makes perfect sense to use free living experiments as an example, but that's not what you're doing here. You're misusing scientific literature to spin a narrative that you want. Would you cause pain and slow death to an animal if it meant a breakthrough in medicine to cure AIDS? No. Like, unless that animal is a human, and, like, there's plenty of rapists and child molesters in prison. I don't know why we wouldn't be using those. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, why? Seriously, everyone fucking hates child molesters. Why don't you use them for unethical experiments? Hi, Richard. Have you changed your stance on the 80-10-10 fruit-based diet, which I remember you followed a few years ago? Is it healthy? Yeah, like, you definitely want a more balanced approach to your macronutrient intake. I think for most people, an 80-10-10 diet isn't sustainable. Like, some people do really well on it, but I've seen a lot of people who really fail when they don't get, you know, at least 20% of their calories from fat and get a lot more protein in their diet and it's definitely not good for athletes, especially strength athletes. So, like again, diet's a very individual thing, but I think for most people I wouldn't really recommend an 80-10-10 fruit-based diet, at least long term. I'd say it's better than a standard American diet, but like some people just need a lot more fat in their diet, like, and again, and protein, and it's just going to, like a lot of these things, individual needs and individual preference come into play. I'm actually going to be honest with you, so he isn't even trying to be honest. Yeah, that's Thomas DeLauer.
Give you the negative implications of a low-carb diet. Why? Because I want to break this down with honesty. I want to give you the science, but I also want to give you the cold hard facts that there are some negative things that come along with a low-carb diet that you need to be cognizant of.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
So without further ado, let's get down
like
to
heart
the
disease?
first 3-month study. This first one was published in Diabetes.
Short-term effects of severe dietary carbohydrate restriction advice in type 2 diabetes randomized controlled trial. Okay, so again, they took 2 different diet groups. Apparently, all of these subjects were obese with type 2 diabetes. Gee, Thomas. You don't exactly look like an obese dude with type 2 diabetes. You look far from that. So, do you think this study kind of relates to you in any sort of way? Do you think the study relates to your audience at all? So, first of all, what do you fucking know? Obese people with type 2 diabetes lose weight and see benefits to their lipids and, you know, their blood markers after undergoing dietary restrictions. Whoa, you mean fat fucks who eat whatever the fuck they want? After they go on a sort of diet, they actually saw improvements to their health? Who would have fucking thought? And again, this is like ad libitum. They were only given advice. This wasn't a metabolic ward experiment. And, you know, typically, okay, if you're going to speak to a bunch of fat fucks with diabetes, and you were to split them up into 2 groups, and you said, you can eat all the bacon and eggs and steak and bullshit you want, just don't eat fruits, vegetables, grains, you know, that's your objective here. And then you split, you know, with the other group, you told them, okay, you can't eat meat, dairy, or eggs, no cheese, you know, no bacon, no steak, you can only eat fruits and vegetables. Like, which diet, like, with these group of fat fucks, who do you think is going to be more satisfied with their diet? I wonder how they fucking got obese and diabetic in the first fucking place. I think, yeah, I think the reason they got that fat in the first place is because they have a natural inclination to avoid fruits and vegetables. Just my thoughts. So again, this is just a perfect example. This is just a perfect example of diet adherence. A diet adherence benefit to a low-carbohydrate diet. There's absolutely no evidence in this article that low-carbohydrate diets have any metabolic benefit whatsoever. So this is you just misrepresenting research and putting a spin on things to support your own fucking agenda, your own business. Would you switch Jasmine for Aaron Janice if Aaron Janice was an atheist? No. She seems kind of crazy in the first place to believe in Christianity, so no way, especially at that age. Would you kill an innocent human if it stopped all animal farming? I don't know, man. It's just such an abstract question, I guess. Richard, why aren't you reading my questions? I just did. Like, I'm kind of doing a live stream.
Diabetic medicine in 2006. And what it looked at was a very large group of overweight patients. Okay? These particular patients were diabetic. And they put half of them on a low-carb diet, and they put half of them on a low-fat diet. And what they wanted to measure was overall their weight loss, but they wanted to look at a couple of other things that were pertaining to diabetes. Well, what they found is after 3 months, the low-carb group lost on average 7.8 pounds, and the low-fat group lost on average just 2 pounds. Okay, that's just weight.
So, when fat fucks are told to just restrict fruits, vegetables, and grains, and, only eat bacon, eggs, cheese, steak, they end up losing more weight than people who are told to not eat those fun foods, but only eat fruits and vegetables. Big fucking surprise. Like, how is this not obvious to you?
Not a huge deal. We have to look at some other biomarkers. But there's actually one more study that diabetic medicine did.
Low carbohydrate diet is more effective in reducing body weight than healthy eating in both diabetic and non-diabetic patients. Okay, so again, ad libitum sort of diet advice. People were just given a seminar basically, and yeah, adhering to a low carbohydrate diet is more effective in terms of diet adherence than trying to just eat healthy. What's the surprise here?
In 2007. But
let's see what this says. Assess the impact of low carbohydrate diet on body weight. Okay. Subjects 25% male, age 52 years plus or minus 9 years. Let's see results. 22 of the participants, 85% completed the study. Weight loss was greater, 6.9 versus 2.1 kilograms. So about 14 pounds compared to 4 pounds in the low carbohydrate group, with no difference in changes in HbA1c, ketone, or lipid levels. Okay, so
took a look at
that's interesting. Even though the low carb group lost like 14 pounds compared to only 4 pounds, there was no changes in lipid levels, which is freaking astonishing. It just shows you how terribly unhealthy their diet was. Does Thomas DeLauer mention this? Of course not.
At a few more people. This one took a look at 13 obese and 13 non-obese patients and wanted to compare low carb versus low fat. Well, after 3 months, what did they find again? They found this time, on average, the low carb patients lost 15.2 pounds versus 4.6 on the low fat. Now, again, this is a 3-month study, which means we're not going to see the long tail results of...
Yeah, you're also not mentioning that this isn't a metabolic ward study. Again, if you're going to fucking try to claim that low carbohydrate diets have a metabolic benefit over low fat diets, then why the fuck aren't you using metabolic ward experiments and you're just using free living experiments? Oh, that's right. That's because all the metabolic ward experiments show that low carbohydrate diets completely fucking fail. Kevin Hall, really great obesity researcher. He conducted these 2 studies. So I believe this is the earlier one he conducted. Calorie for calorie dietary fat restriction results in more body fat loss than carbohydrate restriction in people with obesity. So they put people on a carbohydrate restricted diet, and I think they ate less than 100 grams of carbohydrates per day. And they put people on a low-fat diet where I believe 10% or less of their calories came from fat. The low-fat group lost, I think, 10 times as much body fat compared to the low-carb diet group. And what's also interesting is that the low-fat group didn't reduce their sugar intake. So they were eating more sugar, and I think their net insulin secretion throughout the whole day was 33% higher. They still lost about 10 times as much body fat. So this insulin theory of weight loss is complete bullshit. I'd agree insulin does play a role in weight loss and weight gain, but as far as being the end-all be-all, no. Caloric restriction and choice of macronutrients plays a much bigger role than insulin secretion does. So, again, this is a metabolic ward experiment, very tightly controlled, and there you go, low-fat diet beats out carbohydrate-restricted diet. Energy expenditure and body composition changes after an isocaloric ketogenic diet in overweight and obese men. So the findings of this study was that isocaloric ketogenic diet was not accompanied by an increase in body fat loss, but was associated with a relatively small increase in energy expenditure that were near the limits of detection with use of state-of-the-art technology, so it barely made any friggin' difference. And in the study, they found that ketogenic diets increased protein oxidation and muscle loss, and slowed down fat loss. What?
I'm gonna go to the vet for some medication for Lucy.
Okay.
I'm just gonna take the e-bike.
Alright, well, it should be mostly charged. I charged it
Well,
like a few days ago.
Really close anyways.
Yeah. Alright, so, and right here, body fat loss slowed during the ketogenic diet, and this coincided with increase in protein utilization and loss of fat-free mass, which is muscle. So, again, metabolic ward experiment, not a free-living experiment where people could eat any diet they want ad libitum. So, once again, Thomas DeLauer is completely full of shit. If you look at metabolic ward experiments, low-carb diets, ketogenic diets completely fail. Where they do shine is with diet adherence. But, again, you're spinning a fucking narrative to promote your bullshit.
Really the triglyceride levels, the cholesterol levels, and all that stuff, but we are going to start to see the immediate weight loss. And that's pretty darn awesome. But I know that a lot of the rebuttals are going to come back and say, well, what about cholesterol? If I had a dollar for every person, when I talk about ketosis or low carb, that says, I'd like to see the insides of your arteries, or I'd like to see your blood measurements, or I'd like to see your cholesterol levels.
Literally, the last study you linked just showed that the people on the low carbohydrate diet, even though they lost more than twice as much weight, like 3 times the amount of weight, no changes in their lipid score. That shows you just how fucking terrible these diets are. Typically, when people lose weight, they'll lose at least 1 milligram of, 1 milligram per deciliter of cholesterol per pound of weight they lose. This group didn't lose anything, so it just shows how terrible their diets are.
I would probably be able to at least buy a nice set of dumbbells, because a lot of people do say that. Okay, this first 6-month study was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. It took a look at how say that.
Okay,
this first
low carbohydrate as compared with a low fat diet and severe obesity.
6-month study was published.
Backgrounds: the effect of a carbohydrate restricted diet on weight loss and risk factors for atherosclerosis have been incompletely assessed. We randomly assigned 132 severely obese subjects. Okay, Thomas, do you look like a severely obese subject? So again, you can't find healthy volunteers. Like, why can't you find one study where there's healthy volunteers? Do you really think if people looked like you, let's try to find a puffier picture of you. Okay, if you found somebody who's you when you're kind of bulking up, your abs aren't really showing, and they just wanted to get down to that, do you really think following a ketogenic diet would make a big fucking difference? Yeah, probably fucking not. And again, let's see, this study is, again, a free living experiment. Methods.
Richard tries to keep Lucy
What?
down a little bit with her foot. Huh?
What, is she in the crate?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, this is a free living experiment.
New England Journal of
79 subjects completed the 6-month study and analysis, including all subjects with the last observation carried forward, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, again, same sort of experimental design. Let's see, does it mention lipids?
medicine. It took a look at
Okay, like all these people were on lipid-lowering drugs, basically. So it at least doesn't mention their lipid levels in the abstract. Severely obese subjects with a high prevalence of diabetes or the metabolic syndrome lost more weight during 6 months on carbohydrate-restricted diet than on a calorie and fat-restricted diet. Yeah, like, again, same thing. Like, if you tell morbidly obese fat fucks who eat meat, dairy, and eggs all day, just smother everything with butter, bacon, and cheese, do you think they're going to have an easier time adhering to a low-carb, high-fat diet where they get to eat all the sausages they fucking want? Or do you think they're going to have a harder time adhering to a diet where they can only eat fruits and vegetables? Like, these results aren't fucking surprising, and they don't show a metabolic benefit to low-carb diets. I love how these fucking people make me repeat myself over and over and over again. This is just so goddamn frustrating seeing these retards spew this bullcrap. Like, is your audience that retarded? Like, look at the like-dislike ratio here. Your audience is fucking retarded. Gee.
132 different people.
Okay, why is there still an industry around dieting when calories in and out is really all that matters? It's because people are fucking stupid and they don't know what they're talking about. That stupid people. That's really it. It's like asking, why is there an industry around oil changes? It's because, like, I guess convenience for one thing, but most people are fucking stupid. Richard, oh, there's Durian Rider again. Richard, why are you scamming your patrons? You haven't uploaded any $5 Patreon rewards for over 5 months. I've talked about this before. I'm so insanely busy with everything else. It's hard to get Patreon exclusive videos out. I'm probably just going to change the reward tier because it's kind of stupid to have it up. But there's Durian Rider, everybody. Say hi. Why do you think so many vegans are massive SJWs? Here in Sweden, it's fucking crazy. Like, 95% of vegans are crazy feminist SJWs. Well, Sweden is... Lucy, shut up. Sweden is just bad for SJWs, regardless of who's vegan. Vegans just tend to be... like, what, 80% of vegans are women. Most women tend to be more liberal thinking to begin with. It's kind of the same thing with the atheist community. Atheists tend to lean more towards the left. And there was also that schism in the atheist skeptic community with Atheism Plus where the feminists tried to invade. There's just certain communities that are more prone to that sort of thing. Richard, you haven't even uploaded the monthly Patreon exclusive movie review every month as you promised in your goals. I kind of talked about this with everyone. I said it was going to be a live thing from now on where I criticize the movie live. And yeah, that's yeah, that's Durian Rider. Richard suspects that he might be an alt account of Durian Rider. Well, yeah. Like, this is really fucking weird. Like, it is Durian Rider. Jasmine banned him from my Patreon, but I guess he made a new account, and he's donating $2 to me again. So there you go. Alright, we've got a few more minutes left, so let's just keep going through this Thomas DeLauer vid.
Okay, it took a look at obese and non-obese, but mostly at least overweight patients. And they were measuring like a number of things. Of course, they were looking at the weight loss again, and they were also looking at the overall triglycerides and looking at the cholesterol levels, which is where this starts to get pretty interesting. Well, of course, when it came down to the weight loss, again, we saw that the low-carb group lost 12.8 pounds versus the other group only losing about 8. So when it comes down to triglycerides, which are basically our fat storage building blocks, this is where the results got interesting. The low-carb group had a reduction of 38 milligrams per deciliter of triglycerides versus the low-fat group only had 7.
They lost less weight. They didn't adhere to their diet as well. So what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're trying to make a claim that, oh, see, like a low-carb diet, it has a metabolic advantage, when no, that's not a demonstration of a metabolic advantage. The low-fat diet group that you're talking about didn't lose as much weight, they didn't adhere to their diet as well, and that's why they lost less weight, that's why they didn't see an improvement to their triglyceride score. And what about their cholesterol? Let's not mention that.
Okay, now let's talk about insulin. 27% reduction in...
Wow, a reduction in insulin. Cutting out fucking carbohydrates is going to reduce your insulin secretion. Not a big fucking surprise. And if you're talking about insulin sensitivity... Oh, really? The diet group that lost 3 or 4 times more fucking weight saw more improvements to their insulin sensitivity? Fuck me! None of this is a surprise.
Insulin levels in the low-carb group versus the low-fat group. Now, you might be saying, of course it's going to be lower levels of insulin. You know, they're not having carbohydrates, so of course their insulin is going to be lower. But let's think about something for a second. What is the main contributor to cardiovascular disease and atherosclerosis?
Cholesterol. Cholesterol is the only risk factor for atherosclerosis. At least the only direct risk factor.
Well, it's not saturated fats, it's inflammation.
It's inflammation? Okay, well, saturated fat causes inflammation. It causes a buildup of inflammatory gut bacteria that causes inflammation in your arteries, causes oxidative modification to your lipids, and it makes your cholesterol more prone to oxidative modification. Cholesterol itself is a pro-oxidant. So if you're going to claim inflammation is what causes, like, atherosclerosis, well, okay, there you go, saturated fat cholesterol. Like, again, Thomas, the people who eat the lowest amounts of saturated fat and cholesterol have the greatest protection against atherosclerosis. Vegans have the lowest risk of ischemic heart disease. Why do you think that fucking is? Let's see. They don't eat inflammatory foods like butter, bacon, cheese, these foods high in saturated fat and cholesterol. And they eat more fruits and vegetables, which are anti-inflammatory. Oh, fuck! But fruits and vegetables have carbs in them! Oh, we can't eat those healthy foods! Oh, this is fucking retarded. I'm just gonna adjust my webcam here, because it's really bright for no reason. I can't use auto exposure because no matter what, the auto exposure overexposes, because it's stupid. What are some good snacks for vegans? I just like to munch on carrots. Nuts are good too. Snacks. Yeah, I mean, like grapes, carrots, nuts, seeds. Those are decent snacks.
that they've kind of linked with saturated fats in some wraparound ways.
Okay, Durian Rider, your girlfriend has literally no ass? She's just flat. Like, who the fuck are you to talk about people's girlfriends? Like, do you like having sex with 12-year-old boys? You want to talk shit about my wife?
It's inflammation that's critical. When we start having higher levels of inflammation, there is a direct line item correlation with inflammation. Okay, now enough of that. What also
Wait, what did you just say?
line item correlation around ways. It's inflammation that's critical. When we start having higher levels of inflammation, there is a direct line item correlation with inflammation.
I gotta...
Levels of inflammation, it's inflammation that's critical. When we start having higher levels of inflammation, there is a direct line item correlation with inflammation.
When you start having higher levels of inflammation, there's a direct correlation with inflammation. Fuck, man, I think you need some more carbohydrates for your brain to work properly.
Okay, now enough of that. What also improved was the fasting glucose, down 26 points. Again, you're probably saying, well, of course fasting glucose is going to be down because this is simply a low-carb diet versus a low-fat diet. But these numbers remained even after consuming carbohydrates later on, meaning that the fasting glucose levels naturally...
Yeah, that's because they lost more weight, you stupid motherfucker. These people didn't adhere to their diets. What is so fucking difficult to explain? Like, what is so difficult to understand? You're so stupid.
Just evolved and changed, even if they were not diabetic. All right, now let's get into another study from the 6-month spectrum. This study was published in the Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism. This one looked at females. Why did I pick this study? Because there were a couple comments in particular that said, well, only men really have success with low-carb diets because they were trying to couple it with different hormones, couple it with testosterone and things like that. Not the case. In fact, this study took a look at 53 overweight women and again, they were measuring the weight loss. Well, not only did the women see an 18-pound on average weight loss versus a 9 or 10-pound weight loss with the low fat, there were huge reductions in triglyceride levels, massive improvements.
I wonder if he linked any of these studies. Let's see. Women... What? He didn't actually... Oh, okay. Where's the female study? This is a really weird way he did this. Study, like... Okay, this is just very strange. He keeps ignoring cholesterol. Okay, that's not the female study. Okay, this is the female volunteers. Okay, they lost more body fat. Mean levels of blood pressure, lipids, fasting glucose, and insulin were within normal ranges in both groups at baseline. Although all of these parameters improved over the course of the study, there were no differences observed between the two diet groups at 3 or 6 months. Okay, so not a huge surprise. Like, okay, so even though the low-carb group lost twice as much weight, they saw no greater improvement to their cholesterol score. So what that shows to me is the low-fat kind of diet intervention actually reduced their cholesterol score to a greater extent if you factor in the lower amount of weight loss. And again, not a metabolic ward experiment. You can't make any conclusions that a low-carb diet is like metabolically more efficient than a low-fat diet.
In their HDL levels and massive reductions in their LDL levels. So we really end up having some pretty significant results there. Not to mention, there is an added side effect of lower blood pressure too. Really not a bad thing in the grand scheme of things, right? But that's just 6 months. Who really cares about 6 months? Let's talk about 12 months. Let's talk about what can happen after a full year of doing this stuff. Well, there's a study that was published in the journal American Medical Association, which is one of the top journals out there, a journal that a lot of physicians...
Oh, I've seen this one before. Oh man, I've argued with so many people about this one. If you actually read this, so comparison of Atkins zone, Ornish, and Learn diets for change in weight and related risk factors among overweight premenopausal women. The study participants were not paid to do this, so they had absolutely no financial incentive to follow the diet. Well, the Ornish diet is a vegetarian diet. And guess what? Nobody fucking followed it. So, like, what the fuck are you talking about, Thomas? Like, you're trying to compare these diets. Well, like, if the study participants didn't have any financial incentive to follow these diets, and they didn't actually follow the Ornish diet, how can you claim that the Atkins low-carb, high-fat diet is better than the Ornish diet when nobody followed the fucking Ornish diet? You're a fucking liar. Dear God.
Reference, and quite honestly, a journal that a lot of other journals look up to when it comes down to
oh my God.
Facts. Well, this study was big. This study took a look at...
This study was bullshit. They didn't fucking financially compensate anyone here, and, you know, the people, these fat fucking motherfuckers who thought the diet was too vegetarian, didn't follow it, and oh, what a surprise, they didn't lose any weight. Like, I wonder how they got obese in the first place. Maybe it's because they weren't following a vegetarian dietary pattern.
311 participants,
God.
all of them overweight, but again, comparing low carb, but this time comparing low carb to low fat in 3 different ways. Why did they do this? Because it'd be easy to say that the low-fat diet could have been influenced by the types of carbs they were consuming. And that's rightfully so. That very much so is true. Medium glycemic and high glycemic carbs on the low-fat spectrum. And we're just going to go general low carb for that prevail. Not only for weight loss again, but this time massive reductions in blood pressure, huge improvements again in triglycerides after.
Gee, I wonder if that has anything to fucking do with them following the diet they were given. Like, and again, he keeps mentioning triglycerides. Just by eating more fat and not reducing your intake of processed sugar, you're going to see an improvement to your triglyceride score. Fat just has that effect in lowering your triglyceride score, typically. When you're eating a lot of sugar and your liver is producing triglycerides as a response to that processed sugar, eating more fat tends to lower your triglyceride score. And on top of that, they're following the Atkins diet, so no sugar allowed. What do you fucking know? Their triglyceride score went down, but did their LDL cholesterol score improve? No, it didn't. And in fact, in a lot of these low-carb trials, their cholesterol score becomes worse.
And then massive...
Wait, he actually faded it out there. Okay, so let's see, LDL-C milligrams per deciliter, so this is their LDL cholesterol score. Okay, I'm not sure what actual group this is. But anyway, looks like at 12 months, I'd imagine the first 2 would be the low carb group and the last 2 would be the low fat. Yeah, at 12 months there was no reduction. And actually, right here there was an increase. So, I don't know. This guy's just stupid.
Increase in HDL and again a reduction in LDL. Why do I say this? Simply because that is where everyone tries to combat a low-carb diet, saying that cholesterol levels are going to go through the roof. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you know I don't really care about cholesterol levels all that much.
That's because you're fucking dumb.
I do if they're out of control. But we
What do you mean by out of control? Like, define out of control cholesterol. Like, I can actually define what is the healthy normal physiological range for LDL cholesterol. I actually define that, like, as 50 to 70 milligrams per deciliter for LDL-C and between 90 to 140 for LDL-P. Like, what's your definition of cholesterol score that's too high? Out of control.
We know that the biggest problem is oxidized cholesterol. Cholesterol, when it gets oxidized and it
Again, adding saturated fat to your diet makes your cholesterol more prone to oxidative modification. Just adding cholesterol to your diet makes your cholesterol more prone to oxidative modification. Lipoproteins, they have to stay in blood circulation longer when you add cholesterol to your serum, either by increasing your saturated fat intake or your cholesterol intake. Do you think there might be a better chance of those cholesterol particles becoming oxidized when they're in circulation longer, you fucking idiot?
it turns into an issue with lipid peroxidation and causes, what do you know, inflammation. So with that being said, let's roll right into the 2-year study that took a look at the Annals of Internal Medicine, which compiled a lot of different studies, and they found after...
Okay, so 2 years. Weight and metabolic outcomes after 2 years on a low carbohydrate versus low fat diet, randomized trial. Let's see. Yeah, again, not a metabolic ward experiment. You can't do a metabolic ward experiment for 2 years, so this is just a free living experiment. Low-fat diet consisted of limited energy intake, 1,200 to 1,800 calories per day. 1,200 to 1,800 calories per day. Gee, that's a pretty wide fucking target, don't you think? And, as much as 30% of calories coming from fat. That's a low-fat diet? I'm fucking done here. So, yeah, this is completely and utterly useless. Again, the low-carb diet group had less diet adherence issues. You're a fucking moron, Thomas.
2 years, almost identical results to what happened after 1 year. So they're starting to become the people now that would normally start to develop heart.
In every study, the low-carb groups lost more weight. Yeah, in every free living experiment, if you actually take a look at metabolic ward experiments, you know, just look up the researcher Kevin Hall, and what do you know? Low-carb diets don't perform too well, so you're absolutely fucking retarded. So, that's basically it for the video. I'm definitely going to make more videos about Thomas DeLauer. The guy is just insane. He has to be this has to be deliberate dishonesty. I just can't fucking imagine him just honestly thinking this. So I'll just answer any last few questions you guys have, and then I'm going to start my day. I want to practice wheelies again on my bike, and I think today I'll get some wheelies down. The other day, I was practicing wheelies. I got a few that went about a good 10 feet, so I'm getting better, but I think today's the day where I'll really nail it down. What would you guess Brian Shaw's cholesterol score is? 300, 400, 500. I'm amazed he's even still alive with all the meat he's eating. I'm not sure. That would be interesting. I don't know if there's a video online where he actually shows his cholesterol score, but as far as total cholesterol, I'd imagine it's at least 200 or more. It's very hard to predict someone's cholesterol score just based on their diet because of wide genetic variation, but I'd imagine it's at least 200 or more. And Eddie Hall, he's had a few strokes already. so he's in really fucking bad health. Any gaming streams soon? What about continuing on that Cuphead dough? Yeah, I might stream some Cuphead. I wanted to get up to rank 48 in Call of Duty so I can use the Thompson submachine gun. But yeah, game streams are coming up soon. I've been having issues with OBS. I was using, even when I was using QuickSync, I think I was using the right settings. I had it, I'm pretty sure I had it on, like, fast processing so that the processor isn't overloaded, but I'll check again. I think something to do with that was the issue with the lag. But, yeah. What games are you looking forward to get? I don't know if I'm going to get the new Star Wars game because it's literally pay to win. Really pissed off with the loot box system. I really fucking love Wolfenstein. I think that's been like the best game to come out in a long fucking time. Best shooter at least. I'd say it's more fun than Doom. So really love Wolfenstein. I think there's a few, like, I do want to play the new Far Cry. And I think there might have been a few others. But, yeah, I don't know if I'll get the new Battlefront. It looks really fun, but the loot box system seems to really fuck up the online multiplayer balance. Yeah, I should be able to fix the lag issue, though. I'll have, like, another game stream up in, like, a couple days, probably. The new Mountain Blade game. I've never played any of the Mountain Blade games. There's that new medieval game coming out soon. Forget the name, but that looks pretty cool. It's like an open world game. I might get that. I can't remember the name though. But yeah, like the only thing that comes to mind really is the new Far Cry. I know there was a few that I was excited for. I guess the new zombie game, what's it called? The Last of Us 2. I'm interested in that. Oh, and the new God of War. The new God of War looks good. How long do you think Eugenia Cooney will last? I'm not sure, man. Maybe she has another couple years in her, but she seems to be her health seems to be declining pretty quickly. When are you uploading your response to No Bullshit? I really want to see it. I've been holding that one back just because other things have gotten in the way. I think I've already written most of the script for that, but yeah, I guess I'll respond to him sometime soon. I'm going to be making a video about Dr. Eric Berg soon. Dr. Eric Berg, worst of the healthcare industry. So that's going to be coming in the next couple weeks. Definitely going to finish that one by the end of the month. So for today, I think I'm just going to shoot a vlog, and I'm going to show, if I can get them down properly, I might show you guys some wheelies in the vlog. I'm hoping I can get the wheelies down today. I was doing pretty well yesterday, but I think today's the day. I'll do some good wheelies. Do you have any recommendations on good vegan shave gear? What do you use? It's from a vegan company in the UK. Barbarian Shave Products? Is that it? No. Let's see. Wait, I'll search it. I can't remember the name, but it's amazing. Vegan shaving products. What's the fucking name? They use like a pirate symbol for their thing. Let me see. Vegan Vegan shaving razors. I can't remember the goddamn name now. You know, I might make a video on it just because I really love their products. I can't remember the name of the razors though, but I'll probably just make a video on it. Really, they're really freaking amazing razors. I have really sensitive skin on my face, and every razor has given me irritation. Those are the only ones that don't. So, yeah, I'll probably make a video on the shaving kit that I use. Yeah, Chris Kresser was on the Joe Rogan Experience again. I might respond to that. I love videos on cholesterol, so I'll check out the new Joe Rogan podcast with Chris Kresser. That guy's such a fucking airhead. I love how he contradicts his own statements. It's just, the guy's so stupid, it's insane. Alright, so that's it for the stream, guys. And again, huge thanks to everyone who supports me on Patreon, including Durian Rider. Yeah, future videos coming out. I'm going to make a video about how vegans can reduce their cholesterol score very soon. I'm going to make a response to Dr. Eric Berg, and I'll check out the Joe Rogan video that recently came out. Might make a response to him. And I'm going to practice some wheelies right now, so you might see that video out tonight, if I can get the wheelies down. So, oh, Jasmine, what are the razor blades we use called?
Well, we got them from Mutiny Shaving. It's
Mutiny
not a brand.
Shaving. Huh?
I don't think it's really a brand.
Okay, so Mutiny Shaving.
It's UK based, but you don't have to pay any shipping.
Yeah,
No
UK
matter
based.
where you are.
You don't have to pay any shipping. They have.
Vegan company.
It's a vegan company, Mutiny Shaving. They use these old style razor blades, but they're so goddamn sharp. They're these things. They're so goddamn sharp, and by far the closest shave with the least amount of irritation. So check out Mutiny Shaving. I might do a video just showing off their product, just because it's really friggin' good. Alright, so that's it for the stream, guys. Thanks for watching, and again, really appreciate you all supporting me on Patreon, and I hope you all have a good day, and as always, keep making those vegan gains.